Herzlich willkommen zur nächsten Folge vom QB Watch Podcast. Die nächste Folge mit einem GFL Quarterback ist heute dran. Hab's schon angekündigt auf Social Media. PJ Settles von den Kiel Baltic Hurricanes ist zu Gast und wir werden da gleich ein bisschen eintauchen, aber freue mich natürlich, denn ich habe selber mal für die Kieler gespielt. Da werden einige Erinnerungen wach und genau, ich habe mit ihm ein bisschen über sich und sein Footballleben, aber auch das normale Leben gesprochen und genau, ich höre ihn jetzt gleich mal dazu und dann legen wir viel los. Viel Spaß! Welcome, PJ, to my podcast. Really appreciate you taking out the time, being here. Right, it's not a given, so to say, for people to join. You're busy with preparing for the games. First of all, congratulations on that close win last weekend.
Thank you.
Awesome job. I kind of watched Kiel, of course, myself, as I've played for Kiel myself. But yeah, welcome to the show.
Thank you, man. Yeah, I appreciate you having me and reaching out. And last week, reaching out, hit me up and asked me if I wanted to be a part. So this is cool. Thank you.
No, of course. And then, like, usually what we start, or what I start with, I mean, usually is a strong statement, right? This is like my second episode of like inviting quarterbacks from the GFL. Last week we had Cole Stranstrom here from the Panthers, but like, let us know a little bit about your background. Where did you grow up? Where did you start playing football? You know, junior high, high school, whichever, and then you went on to college. Who are you from that aspect? How did you get to football? And yeah, what's your football story, so to say?
Yeah. So I started playing out the womb. As soon as I was born, you know, I had a football around the house, shoulder pads, helmet. I don't know where they came from, but they were just there. But I also had an older brother, two older brothers, and he played. They played sports, but my older brother especially played football, and that he got me into the sport, got me into the game. We'd be playing outside with friends. So when it was time for me to actually play on a team around 10 years old, that was easy. Like, of course I'm going to play. And I actually first started playing wide receiver. My first year, because I was faster than most of my friends and I could catch because I just had grown up around the football. But the very next year, I started developing my strength a little bit and my passing ability. I've always been able to throw the ball far, but learning how to play quarterback is a different thing, you know. So I'm thankful for the coaches I had at that age that taught me the game from the quarterback perspective, because not all, you know, quarterbacks nowadays get that training from that age. They start out at different positions and maybe transition. But so I went from there. I played all the way through school, through high school at Ensworth High School, a private school in Nashville, Tennessee, where I'm from. And then I went to Rhodes College, a small Division III school in Memphis, Tennessee, about 3 hours from Nashville. And that was kind of like a whim-like decision. I had to make a quick decision late in my senior year of high school. I had some small Division I offers, but I wasn't really sold on any of the schools until late in my senior year. And then it was just really became a recruiting struggle between which school is going to accept me and all that good stuff. So I chose Rhodes. Rhodes was a great school academically, and a great opportunity for me to play, like my freshman year. So I came into Rhodes. I played 4 years. I broke records in the conference and all that good stuff. And then from there, I actually went, and it was 2019 when I graduated. So the next year was COVID. And so I had started playing for an arena football team in Nashville, the Music City Fire. And then COVID hit, like week 2 of the season. And you know the history of that. It shut down the season, shut down everything. And so I was trying to figure out where to play. and thankfully, Potsdam gave me a call, and I came to play for them for the 21 season right after COVID. So I was there for a year, and then I actually came back and played arena for a little bit in Arizona. Um, I was teaching, coaching for a little bit, played arena again in Nashville for a different team, the Nashville Cats. And then Kiel gave me a call. So it's almost like a revolving cycle of arena back to Germany, arena back to Germany. But here I am.
I mean, it sounds like football's been part of your whole life, though, right? When you say you started early, and you kind of touched on something that I feel is obviously at a very different level, but also I think a situation that we have here in Germany. There's just not many coaches out there that I feel can coach a young quarterback up, right? To have the right, whether it's fundamentals, mindset towards the game as a quarterback and everything. So it's great to hear that you had that experience. You were able to live that and learn from that and everything. And I mean, your athleticism, you talked about starting as a receiver, right? Still shows up. You consider a dual threat QB, but we can touch on that in a second.
Sure.
A little bit of an understatement, I think, when you said you had the opportunity to play, and you touched it, right? You set some records when you played college ball. I think it was over 11,000 scrimmage yards and 95 touchdowns in total.
Yeah.
How does that feel, man? It's crazy numbers, if you ask me. Like, how was that experience dominating, I would say, right? The level of ball that you played. And I think Rhodes was Division III, if I'm not wrong.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah. Man, it's crazy looking back on it and seeing the stats from like individual games. I go and look, and I had like 400 passing yards and 200 rushing yards or something like that. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. But while I was in it, it was just a part of the game. Like I got to put my 100% into the game and bring everything I have. And thankfully, I was talented enough to run and pass, and had some great players. Great old lineman who had started with the Houston Texans, and now he's his fourth year in the CFL. Another receiver who had opportunities after college, didn't play as much, but he had plenty of chances. So, I mean, it was just a great time, a great place, and some really good coaches. Peter Jennings was one of them. He was our OC my sophomore and junior year, and he really expanded the game for me and showed me how wide the field is. Honestly, I know that sounds basic, but he allowed me to see a lot more of the field than what I was seeing, and that obviously helped my numbers and helped me grow. But it feels cool, like to be able to say I did that, even at that level. Obviously it's not the D1 FCS level, but it's the level where I was, and I was able to be great at it. So, yeah, I'm just thankful.
No, I hear you. And it speaks for yourself how you bring your teammates, right, and your coaches into the conversation and everything. And I fully agree with you. It's not about playing Division One, right, no matter what or everything. Like you talked earlier about this being, it's a future decision, right, that you make on where you go to college. You said it was important for you to look at also academics, right, which is a good school that you can graduate from and have something after football. So, it speaks for your maturity and everything. So shout out to Coach Jennings, obviously, right, for bringing it up. Because one of my questions usually also is like, who was like one of your most influential coaches that you had? Would that be Coach Jennings for you?
Oh man, that's a lot of them.
Well,
Coach Jennings was. I probably have an influential coach at every level. To be honest, starting from the young age, Coach Dominique. He was my first football coach. He was also my older brother's coach, so he just knew the family. And then I would say Coach J.K. Scott. When I first started playing middle school through high school, it was all connected, one school. He was my history teacher. He was my quarterback's coach. He was my middle school head coach. Like he was the guy. And he taught me a lot of the fundamentals and footwork of, going through the 3-step drop and 5-step drop and timing of this and whatever. And then obviously in college, Coach Jennings was my most influential at that level. And since I've had obviously a few different coaches, but I would say those for sure are a lot of guys. And then obviously Coach Bowers, he was, I can't forget him. He was my high school head coach and basketball coach, and he's the winningest coach in Tennessee history, in our state history. He's got, I mean, I won 4 high school state championships in football and in basketball with him coaching. So that's you can't beat that.
Crazy. It's others don't get to win one, right? So 4 definitely
Right.
is a number to remember. Like if you look back at like your, let's say, high school and college football career, what's the most memorable moment that comes to mind for you?
Oh, high school. I would say, man, losing the state championship. Actually, no, I'm sorry. I said 4. I meant 6. 3 and 3.
Oh, just 2 more. That's okay.
I'm sorry. 3 in football, 3 in basketball. But losing my senior year state championship is definitely the most memorable of my sports career, and that's crazy, given that we won 6, but it came down to the wire. It was a great game against a great team, and it was a nail biter finish in one of those games, But that was my last game of my senior year of high school. And it will always be in my mind, that feeling of losing. And a lot of athletes and a lot of competitors say I like to call myself a great competitor at anything. But losing it's a way bigger feeling than winning, like you think way more about the loss or the negatives than you do the positives. And the drive for winning is to not have that feeling of losing, and that's just the way it is. As negative as that may sound, but no one wants to lose, So
It's a fair point, right? And we're diving into psychology almost right now, but I think it's a great point that you make, right? That as an athlete, as a competitor, and I think specifically as a quarterback, because you're like the center of attention, right? Not just external people look at you on the team, but your team looks at you of how you deal with specific situations. Like when you talk about you being a competitor and your strive to winning is to not have that feeling, is there something that you would maybe tell young quarterbacks out there how to maybe manage that, right? How can they deal with the loss? It doesn't have to be a state championship, but it can be an important game or a critical game or something, right? How do you deal with that to get it off your mind, but at the same time learn from the mistakes and be ready for that next game, next play, whichever it is? You can lose a game, you can lose a play, you can make a big mistake. To me, it always comes down to you need to learn from it what you need to take forward, but you don't want to like continually focus on that play, game, etc. You need to get it off your mind at some point.
Yeah, no doubt. That's great. That's it. I mean, my dad always had a saying: chew the fish and spit out the bones. And that's a life saying for everything. Take what you need and take what will make you better, but get rid of the stuff that will keep you where you are, or will hinder you or hurt you. So I think, no, you're right. Like having that short-minded mentality, and that's easier said than done, when you make a big mistake or if you lose a big game or whatever it may be, to not think about it too long or let it linger. You hear about the 24-hour rule, like one day after the game, you got to let it go, whether it's a good game or a bad game, you just got to move on. But it's even shorter than that. Like every play, every situation, every moment, like you can't get anything back. There's no way, that's life. So the only way is to move forward and progress forward. So, my advice to young guys would be, honestly, don't get too caught up in what you do specifically. And I just had a conversation with some teammates about this. Like, the game is so fast paced and so decision making driven, where you're gonna have to live with the decisions you make, and that's just who you are. You're the player. You're on the field. You're making the live game time decisions, you got to live with them. And if you don't like the result, become a better decision maker, make better decisions. So that's all in the progression of, getting better. And so don't ever beat yourself up over, oh, I threw an interception, or I fumbled, or I missed that read, or I should have caught that pass, or whatever it may be that may add up to a loss. Just get better at the small things and become a better decision maker and thinker. So it's way easier said than done, because I've been there and I've lost. I'm sure you've been there and you've lost, and it's like, man, dang, I could have done this and I should have did, and you start to think about all the things that you've done that, it never gets you anywhere. So.
No, I hear you, and I think you touched on an important point as well. It's the same thing for the successful games, right? There's still things you can learn from them. Celebrate the win, but don't hold on to them for too long, right? You can't be too proud of what you've accomplished, because the next game is around the corner, the next play is around the corner. I think that's really important to remember, right? And same for life, not just for football. I feel football, to me, and specifically that approach, also when I play quarterback, like I carry that over into life, right? Keep moving forward, right? You can't change it. Be a better decision maker also in life. Learn from the mistakes. Learn also from the good stuff. But move on and be ready for the next challenge, because you're going to have to make a decision again. It's not going to be that one decision that you made before that's the last one. So I think that's good encouragement, for sure. Now, you already touched on it. You came, COVID obviously was a huge deal. I remember I was actually in the States when COVID hit and they closed the country. So
really?
I was supposed to be there for 3 weeks. Flew out, came back a day and a half later because the US was closing all the borders and everything. So it was kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But like afterwards, you said Potsdam gave you the opportunity to play in the GFL for the first time. Mm-hmm. How did that come about? Did they reach out to you? Were you aware about football in Europe and Germany? How did you get exposed to, let's say, the football network over here?
Yeah. So I was kind of aware. I didn't really know about all the leagues that Europe had. The guy I said from my college, who had the opportunity to play for the Texans for a little bit, and Packers, and now in Canada, he was like one of my good friends and roommates, and still is, and really one of my biggest supporters when it comes to my career. And so he did some legwork for me, because I didn't sign an agent right out of college. So I didn't really have anybody working for me at that time. I was really doing a lot of the legwork myself. But he had reached out to some teams in Europe and was like, hey, man, I think you can play over here. He knew more about it than I did. And so he actually got me in touch with David Saul, it was at the time, from Potsdam. And he connected with me and reached out and was like, hey, man, there's an opportunity. We're looking for a quarterback. And obviously I did a little bit more research on the team and the league and the GFL and the 1 and 2nd and 3rd division. And I was like, man, that's a great opportunity. I was young, and I still am young a little bit, but I was younger, and eager to play still. And I had a lot of games still left in me. So, that just came, it was so random. I was a pizza delivery guy for a year during COVID, because I needed a job. I needed something to do. I couldn't sit around and just be around. So I was doing that, and then I got the call, and we all agreed on, it's like, this is the best decision for me. And so I came, and the GFL was a different experience, and I'm sure we can touch on that a lot. But I really liked how the European system of American football worked, especially here in Germany, but really in all of Europe. And then I think maybe that same year or around that time, the ELF was starting, and so that was it. Just all made sense. Like, oh my, the European football leagues are growing and the players are getting better and better, and there's more attention and more opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, like football's gotten way more attention over the last few years, specifically since there's a lot more of NFL football also on free TV and everything, right? So
Oh,
there's a broader awareness of the game and everything, and that, I'm not the expert on that topic, but the feeling is that should also carry over, right, into the local teams, kids wanting to play ball and everything. So that's definitely good to see. But one thing I was curious about, and I couldn't find anything online, like with the numbers that you put up in college, and we touched on that earlier. Was there also an opportunity for you to continue playing in the States somewhere? Like, I mean, you talked about you played arena ball, but somewhere else, like potentially pro at a higher level or something?
yeah. So I mean, I did some pro days at the University of Memphis and University of Chattanooga in Tennessee, both on either side of Nashville. And I actually was through with Tony Pollard and Daryl Henderson at University of Memphis, and they're still in the league now. But that was cool, and I had the opportunity to show what I could do. But me being an undersized quarterback going to a small school, it's a tough hill to climb. Uh, so I had a lot of ground to make up when it came to getting my name in on the names on the list of all these NFL scouts and all that good stuff. And so I had some good pro days. I didn't wow them enough for them to sign me or draft me or anything like that. But that was never like my like you said. I focused a lot on academics because I knew that there's a very low percentage that I'm going to get to the NFL right now. Not that there wasn't any belief or faith, but I'm just understanding the numbers, So I wasn't really distraught that I'm like, I didn't get signed, I didn't get invited to a mini camp or whatever. I was like, I'm gonna just keep working, and an opportunity will come. That's just always been who I am. So I did that, and I had some CFL opportunities, Canadian League, and those kind of fell through as well. So I'm like, doesn't matter, I'll go play arena. And arena at that time was the next best thing for me. And I had talked to a few different guys around and some agents, some coaches here and there. And I mean, I think that was a great decision that I made to start playing arena right out of college, because I think it's a very developing game for quarterbacks, because you have to make quick decisions in a small space. With some really good athletes, a lot of HBCU guys from small Division I schools, or guys like me that didn't make it from their smaller schools. So it's a good competitive game, and it's a different game, but it develops the players a lot. So I'm thankful for those opportunities and the chances I didn't have that made me work harder. So it's like, man, it just all adds up, to who I am, which I'm grateful for. But yeah, I did have some chances. I'm not gonna say they didn't want, or that it's all on them, it's not on me. No, like I had chances, and I, I had my opportunities, but I landed where I did, and yeah, I'm happy that I'm still playing, honestly, at 28.
Yeah, I mean, I say I love your attitude, right, towards it. Like you said, you've had your opportunities, and like I always believe there's a reason for everything, right? So there's a path that's there for you, and how you accept that and deal with it. I think that's really cool to see. And you touched a little bit on arena ball, right? And like the decision making. I think the best example for anybody that hasn't read it, there's a biography out there from Kurt Warner, who he exactly speaks about the same thing. When he played arena ball before he actually, had the opportunity with the Rams back in the day, he also talked to them about that, how that progressed him as a quarterback. It made him a better and faster decision maker in ball. So I've never played arena ball, but I can only imagine in that tight space making that decision that quick. That's got to be a challenge for sure.
Yeah, and I struggled honestly a lot with it at first, but like football in a hockey rink, it feels weird. It's a different game, but once you get good at that and then come back outside and play, it feels like so much more space, like the space I was talking about. opens the field up even more. So it was just cool.
Yeah, I
Cool.
hear you.
Yeah.
Let's go back to Germany, right? Like when you back then came to the GFL for the first time, what was your expectations and how were they met? Like whether it's on the level of football, the people in the game, your teammates, the coaching. What did you expect, and how were those expectations met in Potsdam back in the day?
Man, that's a really good question. I don't know that I had a lot of expectations for the game itself. I know I did for myself personally, but I was really just expecting it to be the next step I was taking in football, which meant there had to be better players, and that was the case. Like I think my expectations were exceeded a little bit when I came here, and the guys they're big and they're fast and they're strong and they're great athletes. Um, Obviously, there are some skill gaps when it comes to knowing certain things about the game or fine tuning certain techniques or whatever it may be. But the athleticism is there. There's no shortage of athleticism in Europe or in Germany or in the GFL at all, which is, I mean, it creates a challenge. So it's
Yeah.
definitely a very challenging game. And I was like, man, like this is real football. And I think a lot of my friends back home, they look at it, or they didn't have any expectations because they probably never heard of, European football. Um, and so I think their expectations were exceeded more than mine a little bit. And I was like, oh man, like that's like, I actually got a good crowd out there, and it's some good people, good stadiums and competitive games. I'm like, yeah, man, it's real football. So it'd be cool to get the and obviously we touched on a little bit the marketing of the game and of the European game is growing a lot. Um, but if it got on the same level as even some of the basketball leagues here, and I know that's a big stretch, but it can definitely happen. And I'm sure it's happening in some levels, even with NFL Europe. I know that was a big thing back in the day, whatever. But um, the marketing, if that grows, then people will realize like it's football. It compares just to football back home. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I think I agree. I mean, it's. I think the one thing that is probably the biggest difference from my perspective is, let's say the foundation, right? Like when kids start playing football over here, how they're educated on the sport of football over here, and the structure of how
yeah,
sports is within the society, right? In the States, I love the aspect that the competitive sports is within a school, right? You're like you practice before school, you have your school, you practice after school, you've got your weight room in the school and everything. And here, the attention to sports for each kid is so much more connected to the availability of the parents, which
mm,
they are available, they're there in general, but like here, you go to school, you come home, and then somebody has to take you to a totally different location to get your practice in, right? And then to another totally different location to get your weightlifting in and everything. And I think that's a bit of from my perspective, the separation when you look at the younger players, that the US players are just further advanced when it comes to experience of being on the field, practices underneath their belt, and athletic development, if that's what you want to call it. I think at an older age, players catch up in Germany. You see more and more going to college and also making it to the IPP and the NFL.
yeah.
But yeah, I think that's the main difference, at least to me. But it's great to hear that you also think that they're catching up, and I think there's definitely great athletes out there. A little bit more spread out, I think, now with both leagues being present and not, let's say, most of the German top talent playing in the GFL. But
Hmm.
yeah, for sure. And how would you compare the coaching? Let's say, I mean, also different story, right? I know Timo Zorn
Yeah.
is a full time head coach in Kiel, but not every GFL team necessarily has a or more full time head coaches, right? So, I always take my
Right.
hat off, and I did it myself, right? You work a job and you still spend 40 hours next to your job on preparing the team, watching film and everything. What was your
Yeah.
expectations on the coaching side of the ball coming to Europe, and how were those expectations met?
Yeah. I didn't know what to think about the coaching because obviously, like you said, the foundation of the game, I really didn't know. That's one thing I really didn't know, like how kids were learned to play the game and taught and all that good stuff. So when I came, obviously Bertie Vogt, who's still the head coach, Potsdam, he's a great guy, great dude. But Andrew Weidinger was more so my hands-on coach. He was the OC, and he was the guy I talked to mostly about the football schematics. And he was an American who coached in the league for a while. So he and I, which was actually his first year in Europe as well. So he and I kind of figured it out a little bit together, and we figured out, okay, like this is how the game works, and this is how I need to call the game, or for me, how I need to play the game. And so I think he developed his or morphed his coaching style, I guess, to fit the European game. And so that just gave me a better understanding of the game, obviously. And then Timo, he's excellent. I mean, he's always working. He'll be up at 2 a.m, scheming up plays, and come back at 6 a.m. and send you some on Instagram. It's like, how are you awake? Or uploading film and then sending out notes for film, and then come back, and like he's on it. And he's very, very wise and smart when it comes to the X's and O's, which means obviously he studied the game inside and out. He knows the game. He's played the game. He feels the game. He knows what works and what doesn't work. And so the coaching aspect, obviously the European game it's a different game. Every league has its different little nuances, and the coaches here, I think, obviously understand what wins here. And so the coaches I've had, they're hardworking, great dudes, and they know the game on a like just like an American coach would, I would say. And there are some things when it comes to techniques that I think American coaches do say better, but they just know a little bit more, just because that's the game and the foundation of the athletes. Athletes train to play football at 10 years old, as opposed to here, it's a lot of different sports. And so American coaches, I would say, understand the technicalities of, okay, the footwork or the hand placement on the block, or the, how to run a route and how to, throw the ball on the perfect, all that good stuff. So I think that is the difference in the European and the American coaching. But as far as the knowledge of the game, X's and O's and schematics, I think you can find European coaches that can outcoach plenty of American coaches.
That's
Easily.
great. That's great to hear. And I like, you kind of touched on it, right? It's about what you've been exposed to, right? You can only know so much. And I love hearing what great job Timo's doing. I remember him still when we went head to head in the GFL back in the day. But I agree. Also, like, if you think about the history of the game and everything, and like you said, the let's say how much the game covers also in Germany from a piece of the cake type of approach, right, in comparison to the States. There's only so many players out there that have had the chance to experience coaching at a high level, that have played at a high level, in order to take that to their players and then educate them on it. And I'm not trying to diss, let's say, German coaches that have not had much experience. Hats off to everybody that's getting involved, that invests all these times in trying to help players to get better and everything. But it's more, and most coaches do this, you never finish learning, whether it's a player or a coach, right? You need to continue to educate yourself. If it's your passion, you want to educate yourself. You want to learn more. You want to look at how things are done, whether you take something from a different coach's approach on, hey, this is what I want to do, or if it's something like, this is not for me, but you've learned that this is not for you, and you kind of like building your own philosophy step by step that way. I think that's critical for everybody to understand as well.
Yeah. When did question? When did you start playing? I'm just curious. Like what age and how you came up through the Kiel organization, or
No, I'm born and raised in Berlin. So I started playing here at quite an early age, at 11 in 1989, which tells you how old I am. So I played very early, played O-line at first because I was little. Now I'm big and chubby. I was little and chubby. But at some point I wasn't chubby. So that's when I kind of moved to the quarterback position. And also had an import player here, Clifford Madison, legend in Germany, as a quarterback, still coaches for the Rebels. I believe, I hope I didn't say anything wrong, but I do think he coaches for the Rebels right now. And he taught me how to throw the ball and everything. And then I had the opportunity to go to high school in the States. I was a foreign exchange student in Springfield, Missouri. Didn't play football because unfortunately the football organization of that high school wasn't very open to accepting foreign students into their football program. But I played basketball, I lifted weights, came back over here and continued playing, and was very fortunate to play, GFL. Actually was with NFL Europe 1 year as a QB, and then started coaching very early, and had been very blessed with the opportunities I've received. So, but I don't want to say that's definitely not the standard, not how early I started. I was very blessed and fortunate with the coaches I had in my career that I learned from, that mentored me and everything. But I think the one thing that even up until now is, like, I'm always eager to know more about football, more about coaching philosophies, about quarterback fundamentals. Like, QBs are my passion, right? Because I played the position as well, same as you. So I'm always looking to educate myself on what's the new, let's say, fundamentals that coaches are teaching. Why are they coaching them? Is that what I believe in, or maybe not, right? Because you need to find your own style and kind of go with this. Because as a coach, as a leader, and we could talk for hours probably, but you need to be authentic. And you're not authentic if you're teaching or coaching something you don't believe in. It's just not going to work from my perspective.
Yeah. I agree. And I coached a little bit. I know we might touch on it, but even coaching the young kids, they see through the authenticity even quickly. They can tell if you're being serious or not, or if you know what you're talking about or not. Like, even 11-year-olds understand. So yeah, I agree.
And I think they'll call you out even more directly on it, right? Rather in comparison to, let's say, grown-up players, whether it's college or pro ball, because they, different. It's a tough statement to make, but I want to say they can also call you out. But a kid is just always direct. They're always straightforward, right? And they'll let you know if you're authentic or not, right? And let's say in a pro game or in a semi-pro or even college game, the bigger picture is more present than for a kid, right? Whether what you're doing fits into the whole scheme of things, even though you need to do it because it makes sense, and it might not always be your first approach to take. On a kid's level, nah. They don't see that, right? They're going to call you out on exactly what you said, exactly what you did. And it's great that way. So I hear you for sure. And for me, high school age is the group I would love to coach the most. If I ever have a time again, I'm going to go in that GFL juniors age or high school age, and because you get to mold the people as well. Mold is also such a strong statement, right? I don't want to mold somebody into what I think they should be, but you get to share values that they hopefully take with them into their life, not just onto the football field. It's probably a better way to phrase it.
Yeah. And I coached high school actually this last year.
Yeah, awesome. I love that age group, man, for sure. It can be very difficult, but that's because, again, they're looking for input, right? They soak it up like crazy on leadership, on guidance, on everything. So it's very fun.
Yeah.
But I love the fact that we kind of took the turn towards Kiel now, right? We've spoken about Potsdam a little bit, but Potsdam is secondary because you're now playing for Kiel. And we talked about, Timo, but we didn't yet talk about how did you get connected to Kiel? Did they reach out? Like, how did all that come along that you now finally ended up playing for Kiel?
Yeah. So I was teaching and coaching, like I said, at the school I graduated from, Emsworth. Um, and I was there for 3 years, up until obviously this past school year. Um, and I just had the urge to play again. I was like, man, I played for Nashville last year, the indoor football team there, Nashville Cats. But I didn't play much. I only spent like a month and a half with the team, and only really played in one game and didn't play like I wanted to. Um, so I had the urge to play more. And at 28 years old, I'm like, man, I only have so much more time to either get back in the game or even to play the game. Because I knew if I spent too much time outside of the game, I would not necessarily be written off as a player, but I mean, it's hard to get back in it when you're not in it. And so I put my name on Euro players and reached out to a bunch of teams in the ELF and the GFL and just around Europe. And obviously I got some coaches that reached out and got in touch, and we had some conversations. But Timo was one of the few GFL 1 coaches that reached out, and they really needed a quarterback at the time. I mean, I think Nate was here last year. Great. I mean, he was great for them, but he didn't return. And so they were looking for someone, and Timo expressed that he liked my film and all that good stuff. And so we talked and really shared a lot of the similar approaches to the game. And so for me, it was like, man, if I make a decision, if it comes down to me, then I'm choosing Kiel because it just makes the most sense. And so I like I said, I had some other coaches that had reached out, and an ELF team, Hamburg, but it all kind of just trickled out to, okay, Kiel is the place to go. And so I told Timo, like, yeah, I'll be there April 1st. And so, yeah, I'm here, and everything I expected it to be here. Because I even got a chance to talk to Darren. I've mentioned this before, but Darren Hungerford, who had played here in Kiel for 3 years. He was a linebacker here, I think. I actually played against him when I was in Potsdam. And then we played together in Arizona. We both actually left Germany and went to Arizona unexpectedly, unplanned. I didn't really know him. But in Arizona, we became friends, and we still stay connected now. And I reached out to him before I came here, and he told me, like, man, it's a great place. It's one of the best organizations off the field in Germany and Europe. And they really value that, I think, more than most other teams, which is great, which is why I'm here. But on the field wise, it just makes sense with the opportunities I got here.
Well, it's a great journey that you guys are sharing, right? Not everybody can experience something like that. And you get to see the world via football. Like, for me, it was the same the other way around. I got to see so many places in the States because of football and everything. And other than players from the States being able to come to Europe and maybe experience Europe and go to other countries within Europe, because it's only a short hop across borders. Here it's really, really cool to see. But it sounds like
Yeah.
Kiel chose you, you chose Kiel. So that's, like, to me, always the perfect scenario. That it's not like, somebody like, I actually wanted to go there, but this was the other opportunity was there. So really great to hear. Love how that worked out. And you talked a little bit about approach that you took. The one thing that I always want to maybe give a little insights towards our audience is, how do you prepare for your games here in Europe? Like, what does your week look like, from practices with the team to your individual, maybe weight room sessions or throwing sessions? How do you mentally prepare for the games, whether it's watching tape or other ways to mentally prepare? Run us through this, and also to maybe give younger quarterbacks an idea of what they can do to get ready throughout a week.
No doubt. So let's say the week starts on Sunday, which is just how I see it in my mind. Some people say Monday, but I'm a Sunday guy. So the day after the game, it's a rest day, but a recovery day, I guess, for me. and a reflecting day. Like I said, that 24-hour rules, that's the Sunday after. So I spend my Sunday either in the gym, getting a light lift, just depending on how I feel the day before, but doing something, whether it's going to the beach and just, getting around or doing something. That's my Sunday. And then I watch the film and reflect and say, okay, I could have made this decision better. I could have done this. I could have done that. So that's how I spend my Sunday. And then I would say my Monday and Tuesday are really grind days. I spend in the gym. I get a good long gym session in on Monday. Try to get leg day done, just so my legs are feeling good by the weekend. And I watch a lot of film on the next opponent. I think that's the day where I really cram in the film sessions and study. And, we have our offensive meetings, and we take our notes and we do our preparation on the game plan. And this whole time I'm talking with Timo about, what he likes for the team, what he's seen in his film study. And he's actually an incredible film watcher. Some people they watch a lot of film, but they don't know really how to watch. But I like that about Timo, where he knows what he's looking for and looking at. So my Monday and Tuesdays are really spent for that. And then obviously we practice on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So carry that into practice. Last night we had a great one. And then my Wednesday, either it's another light gym session or more film. And so I just continue to cram film, continue to get a mental picture and mental snapshot of what I'm going to face. And then by Thursday, it's all just reacting to game speed, trying to put myself in game mode. Like, okay, I'm in competitive mode now. It's about 48 hours from the game. I got to be ready. I got to be mentally sharp, physically sharp. My gym work is pretty much done for the week. I don't like to go too heavy on the gym later in the week, just so I'm feeling refreshed. Maybe a light gym session on Thursday or Friday or something. But plenty of film. And I think that is what makes you, like I said, a better decision maker. You just got to watch film. And I play a lot of Madden. I play a lot of Xbox, and Madden can help you. I mean, it honestly can, with how advanced the game is, or how advanced the video game is. I think it gives you that real time making decisions, even if it's just pushing a button. But it's thinking through football. So I try to put myself in my Saturday mindset as much as I can throughout the week. That way on Saturday I become reaction. It's just reaction. I've seen it. I've done it. You see Jaden Daniels, he did a lot with the virtual reality when he was concussed. And I think that is like mentally, if you're locked in, then your body really will just react to what you see. So Tom Brady, another one, he talks a lot about it. So
Yeah.
that's kind of like my weekly preparation. Obviously staying in direct communication with Timo and what he wants and how he thinks we should attack the team and what he thinks I should do better. But also just for myself, like knowing what I'm going to see when I step on the field, and you got to watch film. So my advice to young players, watch film, watch film. And
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
No worries.
the biggest improvements of my game is not just watching film of who I'm going to play and myself, but also just watching games. I think not enough players in whatever sport it is watch enough of their sport to just learn different things. Like you might pick up a thing from a random game in 2008 that you find on YouTube that you say, oh, okay, that situation there, they did it that way. And you start to understand more about the game and more about the how the game is played and how the game can change so much just by watching the game. So I watch a lot of old games, probably one
Yeah.
every. a full game every night.
I hear you, and I love the
fun.
aspect of like how you also touched on all these different aspects, right? Mental preparation, and PlayStation. Oh, there's teams out there, whether it's Xbox or PlayStation, they actually upload their playbook and the opponent's playbooks on them, and have the kids play with that, because it is mental reps on what might happen in a game, right?
Yeah.
Virtual reality you touched on. I mean, unfortunately, we don't all have access to that technology,
Right.
to prepare specifically for opponents. But I know Jaden Daniel actually made that part of his questions towards the teams that potentially drafted him, because he wanted to have that at his availability, right? To learn from it and use it to his advantage.
Yeah.
So it's really great. And YouTube, right? There's so much out there. Not everything's great, but just expose yourself to film, to watching games, to looking at, teaching tapes on YouTube for your positions. And again, taking with you what you think applies to you. Not everything will apply to you, but as you watch all these things, you become more and more experienced, and you identify who you are as a player, right?
Yeah.
For whatever position, or who you as a coach. I think that's awesome.
No doubt.
For sure. But thanks for sharing these insights. I know how you prepare, and you've got a tough game coming up now, right? With Dresden, who I think is right now probably the strongest team in the GFL.
Yeah.
Overall. But I love the fact of how you've had a tough couple of losses at the beginning of the season against Potsdam and Dresden. So this is your chance for revenge now. But then you've really bounced back strong. A couple of close losses as well. Mm-hmm. But with the win last weekend, you just pretty much kicked the Lions off of their playoff spot, and you're now in the number 4 seat. So yeah. I love that you're in the driver's seat and you control what you can do. I think this weekend will be tough, but for sure, fingers crossed on that game for sure, and the remaining days of practice.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm excited.
But we're talking football the whole time, and in the very beginning, you already touched on how critical academics was for you to have something after football. What's your 2, 3, 5-year plan? Like, where do you see yourself next year or in 5 years from now? Personally, doesn't have to be football. Like, what's your goal to next after, let's say, this season?
No doubt. So when I move back to Nashville, which is where I'll go after the season, I mean, obviously, I got to decide what my opportunities will be after the season, whether I will come back. I would love to come back, but I just have to see where life is by next year. But I definitely want to get back into the teaching and coaching role. I found a lot of comfort there in the 3 years I did it, just knowing that I have so much knowledge that I can share to these young kids about the game, and I'd say I'm pretty good at doing it. So I definitely want to do that, coaching for sure. But as far as a 5-year plan, that's interesting. Maybe, I don't know what year it may be. Maybe it's 10 years from now where I'm done playing the game, But whenever I'm finished playing, I do have a history degree, and I do want to get into the teaching role, so likely becoming a history teacher. I was a physical education teacher for 3 years, PE, and that was great. I mean, I loved it, love everything about it. Very active, very fun job. But I also think I can expand into the classroom setting a little bit more with my academic knowledge there. So, man, I could be a history teacher, history teacher.
But I love,
so.
I love the way you said, though, maybe 10 years from now. So it seems like you're not ready to hang up your cleats yet, and hopefully we can watch you play some, I don't know, more GFL ball or somewhere else, right? Watching you play. And obviously making huge plays like you have been this year. Now we talked about the upcoming game, right? Yeah. And how diverse, but where do you see yourself as a team? What's been your, if you reflect back on the first half of the season, including last week's game, even though that's considered second half already, what has gone well? What has not gone so well, maybe? And what do you need to work on as a team to maybe keep that fourth playoff spot here in the North, or maybe even jumping into third place, for example?
Yeah, I mean, we came into the season banged up. We had a couple of imports only, CJ and Chandler were both out for the first two games against Potsdam and Dresden. So we knew off the bat, not giving ourselves an excuse, like to take some losses, but we understood we're not at our full strength, and we're not the best we can be yet. So we've always had that mentality, like we've got so much more to go and so much more room to grow as a team. And so I think we've taken that into every game. Like, we're just getting better and getting better. And this final stretch of the season is our test to see how much better we've gotten. And it should be the strides of all that accumulating. But as far as what's gone wrong, obviously we've had some tough losses. 2 losses on the last play of the game, which, both they hurt. Obviously, they're like, oh, what if we would have won that game? What if we would have won that game? But they've also, like I said, molded us into the mentally strong team and made us better. Like, we got to know how to win in the last situation moment, or we have to know how to score on the last drive, or have to know how to get a stop on the last drive. And so I think going through those situations earlier in the season gives us the mental fortitude to stick through it for the whole game and understand that every single play, every single possession matters throughout the game, which some teams don't really understand, because you win by 20, 30 points every game, and it just becomes a, free-for-all game, and, I can do this, and I can make this mistake, and I can do that. But I think being in close games every game, for the exception of Potsdam, I think it was a pretty rough game. But it gives us the fight, that mental fight. Like, we know how to play a full game and make every play count. So our expectation, obviously, is to continue to get better, like we've been doing, but also go as far as we can take ourselves. So playoffs, obviously, that's a tangible goal. But I'm a winner. Like, I like to win. That's just how I was raised with the game. Like, I don't want to. Like, I won championships as a little kid and 12 years old, and like I said, through middle school and high school. So I'm like, I want to win it all. I'm not really worried about a 4th seed playoff spot, even though it's great and I love to make the playoffs. But my goals are further. I want to win it all. So, and I know this team is talented enough to beat any team, and I say that with utmost confidence, knowing who's in the league. I think we have the talent on this team to play with any team that we step on the field with. So, my expectations are to win.
I love that energy, and I hear you for sure, right? And I agree. Like, if you have those tight games, they prepare you for the playoffs, because that's going to be some close football games right there, right? So knowing how you manage those situations, not flinching, right, and having each other's backs throughout that is really important. And against Hiddlesam, I think you did it, right? You lost a very close one the first time around. You just came back and then beat them the second time around on a very close game. You have the same opportunity this weekend with Dresden. Even though the score seems a bit higher on the first game, I don't think the score reflects the game, from my perspective anyway. So it's great to hear, and I love that attitude for sure. But when you look at yourself now, how satisfied are you with your performance, and maybe what do you look at improving from your game in the second half of the season?
Man, I grade myself hard, and I think every player does, or every athlete does. But I'm satisfied with how I've played so far. Obviously, there's so much more room to grow, just with how quick I dissect the game or make decisions. What I look like physically on the field, how I move and how I throw the ball and all that stuff. My footwork, my composure in the pocket, my ability to escape the pocket, my running. How does it all look? And so I always look at every game like, I should do this better. I should do this better. And but I am proud of myself of how I played so far, I would say, knowing that I have so much more room to grow. So I do this after every game. I give myself a 100-point grade, or a grade on a scale of 100. So I would say right now I'm like 85. Just as far as I played, it's passing. It's a decent grade. A B, B plus, but it's not where I know I can play and how good I know I can play, which is great because we still have opportunities to show that. And so, personally, I think I've had an okay season, but I think I can improve a lot and take this team to the next step.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, but you touched on it a little bit, right? Like, as a dual threat quarterback, right, you have those two parts of your game. You touched on the passing game a little bit, but you're a top 10 scorer, I think, in the GFL right now, responsible for, I think, 23 touchdowns. So having a huge impact on the game for Kiel for sure. And I really just hope that progresses, right? And that continues. But thanks for sharing your insights also on your performance. But we're kind of like coming to the end now a little bit. Stepping away from the field and a little bit more into the surroundings. Mm-hmm. Is there anything you want to shout out to the Kiel fan base? I know there's great fans there, like forever. Even when I played there, it's a very cool environment to play in. Anything you want to tell them that they might not know yet? Any shout outs to them for the season so far or for what's to come?
Of course. One, like, I appreciate all the fans. They show up in number. It feels like every home game gets a bigger and bigger crowd and louder, which I mean, all our players, we appreciate it. So I think that's just cool to see the support, even though we've lost some tough games or last seasons were how they were, the fans still show up. And I think that speaks volumes to the organization and to who they are. So I appreciate them for that, for sure. But there's more to come. There's way more to come. I know it. This team is like, we've scratched the surface of how good we can be, mentally and physically. I know we have so much more to improve, and we will. So yeah, man. I love the city. I love the city of Kiel. It's a great, welcoming city. It's not very big, so it feels. You feel bigger than kind of what you are a little bit. I think that's cool. And so it's great support. I love the fans. I love how they've embraced me personally and the team through whatever. And so I'm excited about these last 4 games, and I'm excited to see their reactions of what is going to happen. So yeah.
Cool. I think it's going to be more than 4, though. But we'll see.
4 regular season. 4 regular season.
I heard you.
Yeah.
I heard you. And now we're taking a step outside the stadium, and this probably goes back also to your first time in Germany. Like, what coming to Germany? It was like when you played in the GFL for the first time. Was that your first trip to Germany or Europe, or had you been over here before?
Yeah. So I traveled a little bit. I spent a summer in South Africa in college. I did like a missions trip there or whatever. So I had been out of the country, but I'd never been to Europe, and especially never to Germany. And it was just like an eye-opener experience. Like, okay, this is the life. This is how you grocery shop. You got like, and I was putting the coin to get the basket or the cart through the grocery store, and like understanding, okay, I got to bring my own bag to the store so I can put my groceries in. So it was just cool experiences, how to travel and, how to maneuver the city. But it was cool to see. I mean, it's just feels like almost a different world, but people are the same. And so I was really pleased with how well the German culture is operating. It's so smooth. Everybody does what they're supposed to do, which I wish was everywhere. But it was definitely an eye opener. just
Yeah.
it's so different from Nashville, Tennessee, or any of the other cities I've lived in.
Any little things that surprised you? Like you talked about the little coin in the shopping cart. I just remember, like in the States, you pay the gas up front, right? Otherwise, you're not going to get
Yeah,
gas at the gas station. Like that's a different thing over here. There's like it's these little things that you're like, okay, this is how it works over here. There's like a couple of things come to mind where you were like, okay, this is interesting.
yeah. Turning right at a red light. That was one that really got me. I'm like, man, I want to turn right now. There's nothing there, but I can't. Because
Yeah,
and the bikers and walkers, and so it's like little operational things like that. Sundays are another big one. Back home, I would do a lot of my shopping or a lot of my uh, things on Sundays, and here that's a full down shutdown. Like everything is closed, so
yeah,
it just changes how you operate, and
yeah.
I
I hear
like it.
you. I mean, good or bad, but for the audience, right? So in the States, you turn on red, right? Even if you have a red light, you can turn right. It's like a
Yeah,
stop sign, right? Which is very common and everybody does it. And shops are just open on Sundays. They don't close like they do here. So
yeah,
is it like, and things come to my mind now, right? From my time being in the States, but I haven't been in a while, so I tend to forget and I'm getting old. But what's your favorite food or drink from Germany since you've been
Ooh,
here?
that's a good one. Favorite food or drink? Drink has got to be some form of local German beer, obviously. uh, and I'm not a huge beer drinker, honestly. I'm more of a cocktail or uh, a liquor guy. But uh, I do like corn. Corn is a good one. That's a local liquor for the liquor drinkers. But um, food wise, I spend a lot of time on the Kiel here. Um, Going to a lot of different fish places. Moby's is a good one.
Mm,
Like good fish and chips there. We go there a lot, like for our pregame or like day before the game meal. If we have a home game, we'd all go on Friday night or something. So those are some. There's plenty of places just around the city, but I would say the fish here is so much better and fresher just because we're close to the sea and right here on the
yeah.
water. Uh,
I hear you. Anybody that if you're by the ocean or by the water, man, you got to get some fish for sure. I hear you.
yeah, yeah.
So to round this up, we've got a couple of rapid fire questions for you. Let's
All right.
see.
Do it.
Everybody goes through this, so let's see how what your answers are going to be, and then we're kind of ramping up. We're a little bit over an hour now, which is actually a bit more than I expected. But I love the conversation. I've had a blast so far.
Definitely
Um,
same.
so first question: beer or bratwurst?
Mm. Beer.
Okay. Burger or Döner?
Burger.
Okay. NFL team you'd love to play for?
Tennessee Titans. Easy.
Of course. I hear you. Cam
Hometown.
Ward, here we go. Now, the question, the next question used to be best QB of all time, but after my last conversation with Cole, I actually need to change it. Your favorite quarterback to watch and why?
Favorite quarterback to watch. Current Lamar Jackson because he's so dynamic. I mean, that speaks for itself. Um, all time, that's changing a lot, but I would say Mike Vick um,
Ooh, good one.
or or Steve Young. Steve Young is a very underrated dual threat quarterback. Um, a little undersized as well, but he was a dog. Um, so yeah, those are two of my favorites.
Yeah, crazy. I remember Steve Young back then in the day. Crazy for sure. Good choices,
Yeah.
I have to say. Last one, hardest college hit you ever took.
Oh, I remember this. I was running the ball. Um, it was against I don't even remember the team. That probably means something about the hit. It was our first game my senior year. Um, but the linebacker, middle linebacker, was coming at me. I'm running the ball, and the first down is close. So I'm thinking I got to put my shoulder down and get the first down. Um, and so I go head to head with the middle linebacker, which is not smart. I don't recommend it for any quarterback. And he got me. He got me good. And obviously I fell. I didn't fumble. I held the ball. Um, but it was a tough. That was a tough hit. The next play, I think we we called a timeout. I'm looking at the sideline trying to get the signal, and I'm still a little blurry from the hit, and yeah, it wasn't fun. But that one for sure.
Yeah, I hear you for sure. I've had those experiences as well. And touching on that, right? You're talking about being a little blurry and stuff. I highly think it's so good that the league and every level of football is looking more closer, right, at head injuries and everything. Because I remember back in the day, you got hit, you saw colors, everything, and all coach would ask is, "Hey, you're good to go," and you said, "Yeah," and you went back in the game. And anyway, but thanks for sharing those insights.
Yeah.
Thanks for, again, you're taking your time out, being here. I had a blast in the conversation. I love your attitude. I love your character. All the best for the next games in the upcoming season. I think you're going to turn some heads. I'm rooting for you. And here, your opportunity maybe to throw a couple of words at the audience and yeah, before we go offline.
Yeah, I appreciate you obviously for having me here. This is cool. I had fun. But yeah, I'll be I'm doing my thing. Obviously, I'm here to win and I'm here to compete. So hopefully, this is not the last that you'll hear from me as far as quarterbacking in Europe. Maybe I, continue this journey or continue this career. But yeah, I'm excited of what's to come and what I can do and what this team can do. So I appreciate you for sure.
Well, I'm sure it's not the last we're going to see of you. Definitely. Yeah. Thanks for joining. Danke fürs Zuhören. Ja, war super spannendes Gespräch. Ein bisschen länger noch als letzte Woche, aber hat wirklich Spaß gemacht. Ich drücke den Kielern und auch PJ die Daumen natürlich. Wenn euch das Ganze gefällt, dann natürlich gerne subscriben den Podcast. Hört auf jeden Fall mal rein. Lasst mir ein Like auf Social Media da, subscribe mir gerne auch dort, gebt mir Feedback vor allem, also ratet auch den Podcast, dass ich weiß, ob es dann wirklich auch in die Richtung geht. Und wenn ihr Ideen habt zu den nächsten Quarterbacks oder neuen Themen, dann meldet euch natürlich auch bei mir auf den gängigen Social Media Kanälen. Die sind alle hier in der Folgenbeschreibung verlinkt. Ansonsten wünsche ich euch eine schöne Restwoche. Viel Spaß am Wochenende bei dem nächsten GFL-Spieltag und in der NFL gehen die Camps los. Also auch da ist natürlich bald die nächste Folge am Start. Ich wünsche euch was. Bis dann.